On November 20th, 1970, Operation Ivory Coast was executed by United States Special Operations Forces and other American military units to rescue U.S. prisoners of war during the Vietnam War. This is one of the wars that is considered a successful failure mission. So let's figure out why. Sơn Tây is a town known for its historical significance. It is located within Hanoi, the capital city of northern Vietnam, which lies on the western bank of the Red River, approximately 140 kilometers inland from the South China Sea. The Vietnam War, which lasted from 1955 to 1975, was a conflict in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. It involved North Vietnam and its communist allies fighting against South Vietnam and its principal ally, the United States. The primary causes of the Vietnam War were the desire of North Vietnam, led by the communist Viet Cong, to unify the country under communist rule, and the United States' efforts to prevent the spread of communism in Southeast Asia as part of its broader strategy of containment during the Cold War. American soldiers, pilots, and other military personnel were captured by the forces of North Vietnam, including the North Vietnamese Army, NVA, and the Viet Cong, a communist insurgency operating in South Vietnam during battles, ambushes, and particularly when aircraft were shot down during missions over North Vietnamese territory. The prisoners were then taken to various detention facilities, including the notorious Hanoi Hilton in Hanoi and other POW camps like the one at Sơn Tây. The captors used the prisoners for propaganda purposes and as leverage in negotiations, and the harsh conditions and treatment of POWs were significant issues during the war. During that time, the United States Army Special Forces, commonly known as Green Berets and Navy SEALs, alongside other specialized units, received the mission of planning and executing rescue operations to retrieve POWs from enemy captivity. Among these missions was Operation Ivory Coast, also referred to as the Sơn Tây Raid, with the objective of rescuing American POWs detained at the Sơn Tây camp in North Vietnam. On May 9, 1970, the perilous rescue mission within North Vietnam commenced. A sequence of aerial photographs was captured over a compound close to Sơn Tây, a town situated in Hanoi province suspected of serving as a camp for war prisoners. These images confirmed that the facility was detaining around 55 American prisoners, with several possibly requiring urgent medical attention due to torture, harsh treatment, humiliation, and abuse. It was also believed that a few might have died. Additionally, the prison camp neighbored a station housing 12,000 North Vietnamese troops, indicating that extracting the Americans safely would pose significant challenges. 2 weeks subsequent to the acquisition of the footage, James R. Allen, the Deputy Director for Plans and Policy at the United States Air Force Headquarters, orchestrated a meeting at the Pentagon with Army Brigadier General Donald Blackburn. Following this assembly, Blackburn summoned General Earl G. Wheeler of the Department of Defense's Joint Chiefs of Staff and advocated for a rescue mission targeting all prisoners held at Sơn Tây. General Wheeler sanctioned a series of deliberations to assess the feasibility of the raid, necessitating a 15-member planning group. Codenamed Polar Circle, this group convened for the first time on June 10th of the same year. Collaboratively, they determined that Sơn Tây contained 61 prisoners. Notably, several group members would eventually participate in the raid, including an officer designated as a rescue helicopter pilot. Despite General Blackburn's desire to lead the mission, his request was denied. Instead, Colonel Arthur D. Simons was selected to lead the entire personnel of the mission. Eglin Air Force Base in Florida was designated as the training site for the force. The process of selecting personnel for this perilous mission was highly specialized and rigorous, with previous combat experience in Southeast Asia being a prerequisite. To maintain the element of surprise for the rescue mission, the raid was strategically staged in Thailand and launched during nighttime from a location south of the Laotian border in Udorn. The flight path from Udorn to the prison camp in Sơn Tây spanned a distance of 687 miles, traversing dense jungle terrain. To ensure success, the mission necessitated flying at low altitudes. Brigadier General Leroy J. Manor, commander of the USAF Special Operations Group at Eglin, leadership of the mission, while the actual assault phase was overseen by his deputy, Army Colonel Arthur Bull Simmons, renowned for his unconventional yet effective approach to operations. And not to forget, Lieutenant Colonel Elliot P. Bud Sidner, who also played a pivotal role alongside Brigadier General Leroy J. Manor and Colonel Arthur Bull Simons in the planning and execution of the rescue mission. As the Deputy Ground Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Sidnor worked closely with Brigadier General Manor and Colonel Simons to coordinate the detailed planning and implementation of the ground assault on the Sơn Tây prison camp. His expertise in special operations and meticulous attention to detail were instrumental in ensuring the success of the mission. Together, Brigadier General Manor, Colonel Simons, and Lieutenant Colonel Sidnor formed a cohesive leadership team, each contributing their unique skills and experience to orchestrate the complex operation. While Brigadier General Manor oversaw the entire mission as the commander, Colonel Simons led the actual assault phase, and Lieutenant Colonel Sidnor played a critical role in the planning and execution of the ground assault, ensuring that every aspect of the operation was meticulously planned and executed. The rescue effort, launched from Allied air bases in Thailand, was described by President Richard M. Nixon as a mission of mercy. Nixon hoped that if the plan succeeded, the freed POWs could possibly join him at the White House for Thanksgiving dinner. A successful raid might also bring hope to the other POWs in North Vietnam and their families back in the U.S. But who could foresee what was about to unfold? Initially, an Army assault team would deploy into Sơn Tây using Air Force HH-3E Jolly Green Giant and 5 HH-53 helicopters, with 2 Air Force MC-130 combat Talons providing navigation support and 2 HC-130SS refueling the choppers. Concurrently, a flight comprising 5 A-1E Sky Raiders would provide cover, while 10 F-4S conducted a MiG combat air patrol to intercept any potential North Vietnamese fighters. Additionally, an F-105 Wild Weasel would bait North Vietnamese surface-to-air missile sites to divert attention from the assault fleet. Subsequently, the HH-3 helicopter would land inside the prison compound, where personnel would awaken the prisoners and release them from their cells. Meanwhile, the HH-53 helicopters would land outside the area alongside the entire assault force. Some units would secure the Sơn Tây vicinity and repel any enemy forces, while others would breach the prison wall and guide the prisoners to designated choppers. Throughout the operation, the A-1E attack aircraft would provide cover and assistance against any encountered threats. In terms of air operations, Air Force Colonel Warner A. Britton oversaw the coordination of complex air support aspects, ensuring synchronization between helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft with ground operations. Additionally, Air Force Lieutenant Colonel John Gargis played a critical role in planning and navigating the air assault, ensuring precise and timely arrival of helicopters at the target zone. Upon loading the prisoners, the entire force would embark on the return journey to Udorn. To sow confusion and diversion among the enemy, Navy planes would deploy flares in an area near Sơn Tây. The mission's weaponry included assault rifles, grenades, mines, and demolition tools. Additionally, the team carried implements such as bolt cutters, machetes, axes, torches, night vision goggles, ropes, fire extinguishers, and communication radios for breaching the prison and facilitating communication. Due to concerns about the prisoners' physical condition, the rescue team assembled special medical kits containing painkillers, anesthetics, and splints. Moreover, the aircraft were stocked with water, thermal clothing, pajamas, and baby food, anticipating the prisoners' potential weakness. Training commenced at Eglin Air Force Base on August 20th, culminating in a full-scale rehearsal on October 6th. A scale model of the Sơn Tây prison camp was constructed to strategize alternative approaches for the raid. By November, the raiders had conducted their roles in the mission over 170 times, while the air elements of the force had completed 268 sorties, accumulating more than 1,000 flight hours. The mission was shrouded in secrecy. According to Grady Vines, a Special Forces non-commissioned officer, "We had live fire exercises, raided a mock stockade, trained around the clock with no breaks, no let-up. Our wives or families were told we were testing new equipment." Unknown to the task force, updated imagery of the Sơn Tây camp revealed a sudden decline in activity just before the raid. Official reconnaissance photos on October 3rd indicated no presence of prisoners, yet the continued occupancy of the site was evident in other footage. The Secretary of Defense received a briefing indicating the possibility that no prisoners remained at the camp. This unexpected development raised concerns among the planners, prompting speculation about potential changes in the prisoners' location or the enemy's awareness of the impending rescue attempt. However, Despite this uncertainty, General Blackburn and Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency Lieutenant General Donald Bennett recommended proceeding with the raid. Secretary Laird concurred, reasoning that even if there was a remote chance of finding starving Americans at the site, it warranted the risk. The green light for the mission came on the night of November 20th. Not all personnel involved were briefed on the true purpose of the task. For instance, the air crews tasked with dropping distraction flares were instructed to engage any foreign defenses threatening the operation without full knowledge of the rescue mission's nature. As the night descended, all air and ground force personnel gathered in the base theater. There, Colonel Simmons revealed the true objective: to attempt the rescue of American prisoners of war. Initially stunned, the men erupted into cheers after absorbing the news, feeling honored to embark on such a noble endeavor. Task force members boarded their C-130 Hercules aircraft, preparing to fly to Udorn, where helicopters and other aircraft awaited. By the time they crossed the Laotian border around 11:30 p.m., a formidable force of 116 aircraft had departed from 7 bases in Thailand and 3 additional carriers in the Tonkin Gulf. The lead helicopter, an HH-3E Jolly Green Giant, carried the initial attack force, ready to crash land inside the camp and initiate the rescue. Arriving at the Sơn Tây camp under the cover of a partial moon, the task force relied on their extensive training to navigate the situation. Despite the challenges, their morale remained high, with everyone eager to bring their fellow Americans home. They were confident in the operation's success. Air Force Major Donahue Gene McCarley and Air Force Captain William R. Wilson, responsible for the Banana helicopter and HH-3 chopper, executed a controlled crash landing to infiltrate the area. With the helicopter safely inside, a 13-man assault group swiftly stormed into the prison buildings. Simultaneously, a helicopter crew stood guard, prepared to repel any North Vietnamese reinforcements. Major Meadows, leading the assault team, announced through a bullhorn their mission to rescue their fellow Americans. "We are Americans, this is a rescue. Keep your heads down, we are here to get you out." However, no response was heard. Though a few of the estimated 55 North Vietnamese soldiers in the compound attempted to resist, most retreated into the darkness of the night. Undeterred, Major Richard J. Meadows, Sergeant First Class Robert L. Jones and his team meticulously combed through the prison compound, only to find it deserted. It emerged that the prisoners had been relocated prior to the team's arrival, leaving the reasons for this move still shrouded in mystery to this day. Consequently, no prisoners were rescued during the operation. As recounted by former U.S. Air Force Colonel J. Strayer, a pilot involved in the rescue attempt, the feeling of disappointment to find out people had been moved was huge. We had been practicing for a long time, and then to find no one there when we arrived was simply deflating. And while no Americans lost their lives, unfortunately, no one was rescued either. The men returned to their bases in silence, grappling with astonishment. The outcome of the unsuccessful mission sparked divided opinions among critics. On one hand, the operation was deemed a tactical success due to its flawless execution, the message it conveyed, and the absence of American casualties. The raid itself has been called a successful failure in the annals of history. It was a perfectly executed tactical raid, but an intelligence failure. It transpired that the prisoners at Sơn Tây had been relocated in July, primarily due to flooding contamination. Instead, they were housed at another camp approximately 15 miles closer to Hanoi, known among prisoners as Camp Faith. Ultimately, the secrecy surrounding the operation proved to be its downfall. The mission's Achilles heel lay in the compartmentalization of information and the isolation of task force members from other intelligence sources. According to John Gargis, a planner and participant of the operation, "We concede that the raid was allowed to take place because those who had the correct intelligence information were not aware that someone was contemplating a prisoner of war rescue." The failure of the raid was heavily scrutinized by the media, critics of the Vietnam War, and opponents of the Nixon administration. They condemned the mission for relying on outdated intelligence and feared it could lead to mistreatment of American prisoners still in captivity. However, following the Sơn Tây raid, the North Vietnamese swiftly consolidated their prisoner of war camps into local prison complexes. A section of the infamous Hanoi Hilton, previously housing South Vietnamese prisoners, was repurposed as Camp Unity, consisting of communal areas accommodating up to 50 individuals each. Upon their repatriation, many prisoners of war noted that the close proximity to fellow captives boosted their morale, as did the knowledge of the attempted rescue at Sơn Tây. Some American prisoners reported significant improvements in food, medical care, and mail delivery following the raid. So this is it, my folks. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Let us know what your thoughts are about this story in the comments. If you love war stories like these, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Till then, take care of yourself. See you in our next video.